Injury updates on Saka, Calafiori, and Jorginho. Now, Jorginho, I'm pretty sure I speak for every Arsenal fan with us about to play against both Crystal Palace and a two-legged tie against PSG. Owing to Partey's suspension in the first leg, we need Jorginho. And of course, we don't want to hear anything about Bukayo Saka and Calafiori or any player. What an image this is, completely off topic. We got, the present and the future, or the past, the present, and the future. I mean, Saka, a lot's happened for him at 23, 24 years of age. But then when you look at Wanyeri, who's just starting out his career, just turned 18, Saka is significantly more experienced, but he's almost like the big homie already, and he's not even the oldest in the team. It's crazy, man. How much money these two have saved us, in addition to Miles Lewis-Skelly, Lord knows, and pick up the Highlanders. That's all I will say. But what has Arteta said in relation to injuries and players' overall health? We have to wait and see how he reacts after the next training game session. Apologies, but it's nothing too serious in relation to Saka. If we want to, I think he would have a good chance to play tomorrow, which is evidently today, people. Smash the like button and don't forget, live from 7 p.m. at the time of recording this video, it's Arsenal against Crystal Palace. We will be doing a watch-along. So join me, even if you can't be here, smash the like button on the vids. Appreciative to those of you who've been doing that, and we'll do that. Again, we're trying to get to 70,000, and we're making a real go of it, DG Nation. Yes, Ricky is out. Jorginho as well. For Jorginho, I think, unfortunately, it'll be a few weeks. Now, what do you lot feel about that sentence? A few weeks. This is someone we're going to need, really and truly, if I'm honest with you. But it probably goes back to the summer. If everybody's fit, we've got a small squad, give or take 19 to 22, depending on what Mikel Arteta says, who seems to focus on 19. When you stress test the 19, how many of those players are ever present throughout a season? Partey's probably had 2 seasons of ever-present health, and we're going to get on to Partey, Jorginho, Zinchenko, Tomiyasu, Tierney. These lot are known to pick up knocks, and I'm not knocking them. It's just the reality of things. Tomiyasu played 6 minutes, unfortunately, of football for us. And even the more durable players, Declan Rice has had a broken toe. You more look at the Sakas, the Kai Havertzes, and the Martinellis, 3 players that probably clock up the most minutes, or 3 of the most minutes in our team. They've all picked up hamstring injuries. So there's a lot for Arteta, the coaching and analytical staff, Andrea Berta, and the Cronkies to review, man, because in one of our worst seasons of the 3, we've got to 2 semi-finals now. We shot ourselves in the foot in the FA Cup, and of the 4 competitions we participated in, the Premier League is probably where we've done the poorest, purely because of at the third pursuit of trying to win the Premier League. We've taken nothing away from Liverpool, who are champions elect, and if we don't beat Crystal Palace, they are officially now, what we've known for a while. But we've shot ourselves in the foot this season, whether it's the draws we've not been able to hold on with, whether it's, just not being at certain games, 12 draws. Once upon a time, that could win you the Premier League. Unfortunately, in today's day and age, it doesn't do much in it. But it's not good news to hear Jorginho potentially out. And we need as many bodies as we can count. It's all fun and games talking about rotation in relation to Crystal Palace. But who do we rotate now? Obviously, we play on the Wednesday. Then we play next Tuesday against PSG. So Mikel Arteta could go strong. Not sure on Crystal Palace, because they've got a big game, actually, on the weekend, obviously in the FA Cup semi-finals, which I'm jealous, because we should be in that, but it is what it is. I'm not going to go as far as to say both teams are going to throw the game away and they can only deal with what's in front of them, but both teams have one eye looking over other competitions, people. I hope so, to have him back before the end of the season, but I'm not certain. So we have to see how he evolves in the next few days. I would say a few weeks. So the doctor was quite cautious still about talking about any dates. So let's see. The good news is that he's improving. He's feeling much better. It's quite a scary situation, and he's in a good place now. Now, the one thing I would say, managers are good liars. With us going to play PSG, is he being mindful of what he puts out, trying to keep, the opposition guessing? I don't know. Or do we take his words at face value for the truth in that? Jorginho, hope he's back before the end of the season. Who knows? Kai Havertz, again, I think he'll be back. But yeah, with Calafiori, 3 of the injuries, obviously they are impact injuries. One is a really bad twist. It could have been worse, to be fair. So now we learn many more things about the player and how we can be much more on top of certain situations to try to prevent them. But it's true that the main 2 ones, they've been really unlucky, and very little that we could have done differently. So that's where the injuries are concerned, people. Arsenal could be about to make a U-turn and keep unbelievable player instead of letting him go. We know Arsenal have a lot of decisions to make ahead of the summer transfer window. Bert has just arrived, and apparently he's been working already on a number of things behind the scenes, people. Arsenal could make a U-turn on the stance of Thomas Partey, who's been linked with a move to Barcelona, back to Atletico Madrid and Saudi Arabia. And 1 minute, he's not been given a contract. Then there's been a contract offer and he's rejected it. Who knows? But he's on big money. He's clearly a key player for Mikel Arteta. He's playing out of his skin and he's one of our players of the season, potentially. And one of the players that really is, in my opinion, showed their consistency throughout the season. Like, you know, you look at how Declan Rice was spoken about in the first half of the season to now. You know, you look at when Miles Lewis-Skelly got his real emergence. These lot have their own, you know, they can be players of the season. And it's nice that we can argue about it. I still reckon Saka's got a shout. I think Timber's up there. Obviously, season's ended, but Gabriel Magalhaes, an outsider, you know, Mikel Merino's making a goal thing. So, yeah, Thomas Partey's been good. He's been always been brilliant for the Gunners when he's been fit and playing in his preferred midfield role. Injuries have been a big problem over the years, but he seems to have overcome that this season and has been one of Arsenal's best players. In July, the 30-year-old's contract at the Emirates will expire, and the expectation has been that Arsenal will release Partey and have no plans of extending his deal. However, Charles Watts has revealed that the Gunners' stance could be changing now. He said on a video on his YouTube channel, the expectation has been, certainly the noises have been, that Thomas Partey, along with Jorginho, will leave at the end of the season. I've been doing a little digging, trying to find out exactly where things stand at the moment. So this is where the situation lies with Thomas Partey and where his future is right now. As far as I'm aware, I've been told he has never had a contract offer from the club, and there haven't been proper talks ongoing still. No formal talks with Arsenal about a new contract. But as far as I'm aware, for the first time probably since the clock has been ticking down, there's a feeling that maybe Arsenal are now actually willing to enter into negotiations about an extension with Thomas Partey. But I reiterate that this hasn't happened yet. We'll see how it all progresses, but there's a sense from people I've spoken to that there's a bit of a change and Arsenal could potentially be open to keeping him. Whereas before, the feeling within Partey's side of things was this isn't going to happen. I'm going at the end of the season. Arsenal aren't really open for discussions. And let me know your thoughts. It's a peculiar one, because if it was just on ability, of course. Now, Declan Rice is becoming a more complete midfielder. We know he arrived as a number 6. We know that's his bread and butter. He's starting to get goals and assists and impact the game in the opposition's half rather than sweeping up and counter attack. So he's becoming a complete midfielder. Jorginho hasn't got the legs, but generally with his skill set, there's a use. Mikel Merino's obviously shown he's comfortable in midfield, but has probably had the best period up front. So he's showing it. So this isn't really going to make sense, but I think Partey is probably the all-rounded of the midfield options we currently possess that play behind Martin Odegaard or partner Declan Rice. He's not got the legs of Declan Rice and, can't, in terms of the primary job that Rice has done throughout his career, he ain't at that, end-to-end kind of midfielder, that physical kind of quality, but he can do a bit of it. Neither has he quite got the glee to the extent of Jorginho on the ball, but he can do a bit of that. So I think he's almost ticks a lot more boxes or is a bit more rounded of the midfielders. And clearly, with the injuries and everything, Arteta loves him. He'll play him right back unprovoked. He'll play him right back if there's injuries. He loves the guy. Now, the only thing with Partey, is it one of those things? Last year, if your deal ever present, whether you're trying to earn a new contract, whether you're doing something different off the ball, or is it just one of those things? I don't know. Personally, I think it's a case of twofolds. Now, I've never spoken to anyone at Arsenal, but you do get the sense as an Arsenal fan that for the last 2 years, Arsenal haven't actively pushed Thomas Partey out the door because they like him, but he's one that, a bit like Gabriel Jesus, they haven't actively pushed him out the door, but you can make offers and we're open to it. Is it a thing where Arsenal said, you know what, we simply got other priorities. We're trying to handle the Sakas, the Magalhaes, the Salibas, new deals. Obviously, the 2 Haylenders now. We're trying to dot I's and cross T's where the Gyökeres is, Nico Williams, maybe Zubamendi are concerned, and we'll get round to this. Maybe we want to focus on out games. Maybe we wanted Partey to prove his fitness, and then we'll give him a new deal. Again, 2 + 2 = 4, so I don't want to make it equal 10, but you are hearing rumours. Xabi Alonso's going to Real Madrid. Real Madrid wants Zubamendi anyways. That would present him with a chance of playing for the biggest club in the world, staying in Spain and playing under his former manager. Is there something there that we can't get Zubamendi? We might have to keep Partey. Now, obviously, Partey's wages as well, which again, you can disregard everything I've said. Where you look at the wages, it doesn't surprise me that there's quote unquote a lot to do in terms of incomings, outgoings, and not just for this summer, next summer. You know, I'm not saying we're selling them, but naturally the Martinellis, the Odegaards, if these people don't get back to great form and don't keep developing, there might be something to review. We're entering, well, the summer, after the summer transfer window, that'll be our 4th year of being, you know, doing well. Last 2 years being back in the Champions League. I would assume next season we're trying to go for the league. These 3 years we've been spoken about as title contenders. Does it really surprise me that where you cast your mind back to 2022, 23, and what would be the 2025, 26 season, that there is a bit of need to freshen things up, and players at the start of this tenure like Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko once upon a time were first names on the team sheet, maybe even Tierney, for a variety of reasons. That's kind of shifted. You know, people that were helping us and doing their thing that have had a bit of a wobble, maybe they get demoted from first team regulars, first names on the team sheet, to obviously, you know, rotationary options. It doesn't surprise me that there's a bit of changing and decisions to make. There's very few players, for a variety of reasons, very few players you go through are obviously our squad that don't have any speculation over their futures, and we need to buy regardless. I think we'll buy regardless, but there maybe is a need to keep, you know, you might not be able to address, you know, if you can't get Zubamendi or a midfielder, you might say, do you know what, we'll try again next year, or we might be able to get a midfielder that isn't quite of the quality of the ones we want. Let's keep Thomas Partey. Maybe, you know, certain players' futures in the attacking ranks are dependent on who we can bring in. And then you also need to let people go. There's a lot of moving parts. I just feel where you look at Partey's contract, if you were to sign Nico Williams, who's currently earning 200 grand a week, probably going to earn a lot more. The Salibas, the Sakas, the Gabriels, they're going to probably get new deals. You've still technically got Kai Havertz and Gabriel Jesus, where Gabriel Jesus is concerned, at least until next summer because he's injured. And then, you know, Partey's new deal. So there's a lot of considerations, and that's before you talk about income. Is if it's just on ability, I think you need to keep Partey. I'd like to keep him. A lot of people, and they're not wrong, because ultimately your performances dictate how people are speaking about you. Partey's been a player that everyone can see his quality, but they wouldn't be against going. A lot of people were saying to let him go in the summer. Right now, it seems like a no-brainer. Give Partey a new deal. It doesn't make any other sense not to give him one. But God forbid if he reverts back to type, where are we? So again, smash the like button and let me know your thoughts on whether we should or shouldn't keep Thomas Partey. Now, one thing Berta's going to have to make Arsenal better at is selling. Now, Nuno Tavares needed to go, but he's doing his thing over there in Italy, and we're set to make a profit at the very least. You know, we'll probably get some money from Tavares, and if Aaron Ramsdale leaves, I'd imagine so, depart Southampton, who have been relegated to the Championship. Arsenal are set to make at least 13 million euros and potentially much more from their soon-to-be former player Nuno Tavares. According to multiple reports in the Italian media, Lazio will make the signing of Tavares from Arsenal permanent at the end of the season. Lazio will pay the Gunners 5 million euros for this. In addition, Arsenal will have a 20% sell-on clause for when Lazio sell Tavares on, with many big European clubs said to be considering a summer move. Fair enough. And apparently Lazio value him at 40 million. That means that a sale at this price would bring in an extra 8 million to Arsenal's coffers. I mean, it's hindsight's a wonderful thing, but could we have given like a dry loan? I mean, I hear it in the summer. It's an obligation. Last summer, it's one less thing to worry about going into this summer. And hindsight's a wonderful thing. But in hindsight, could he have went on a dry loan, done what he's doing at Lazio, whether we believe he could come back to Arsenal or not? We're in a position to make more money, because we all knew, regardless, they were going to sell the 25-year-old on for more profit. So it is what it is, people. It just didn't work out for Tavares, but money's money. Once again, Arsenal face Crystal Palace at home today. Don't forget to join me for a watch along. If we don't win, Liverpool will be officially the Premier League champions, and they've been that for a number of months, really. Allegedly, Arsenal are progressing very well in their talks to extend Saka's contract. He's set to become the highest paid player of the club. Now, Mikel Arteta wouldn't be drawn on Saka's comment or anything to do with Saka's contracts, you know, or anything Saka related. That's nothing to do with his injury, with being injured or being on the pitch. He wasn't drawn, but Saka has said he wanted to stay. Arsenal are probably showing their willingness, and he should be our top earner, really and truly. Allegedly, Arsenal are yet to fully make up their minds on whether they'll make a move to sign Nico Williams, but the player is a key target. Give Me Sport sources have confirmed, while Mikel Arteta would love to bring him to the club. Private suggestions to Give Me Sport have confirmed that although Arsenal are wary of how much Williams is going to demand in terms of a salary, the player will not let such an element stand in the way of him making a move if that's what he decides to do. Tired of hearing about Nico Williams, to be fair. Sporting director Andrea Berta is becoming increasingly keen on signing Gyökeres. The player want a win now striker edition, and Berta believes that Gyökeres might be the final piece of the jigsaw. Apparently, we've done a background check. We're conducting more background checks on all our major targets, and apparently, on top of obviously his goal scoring ability and how he fits into the team, he's been given a glowing report as a person and a character. So yeah, if we're convinced, get the deal done, people. And yeah, other reports are saying we've opened talks. You know, Saka's contract's extending well. We're set to formally finalize Nwaneri, Ethan Nwaneri, and Miles Lewis Skelly's new deals sooner rather than later, folks. But I was in attendance for Arsenal versus Ipswich. Chelsea have joined Manchester United and Manchester City in the race to sign Rodrigo and are prepared to spend 100 million euros on him. Should we get involved in that? Someone can hold Saka's boots. I don't believe that for what it's worth. We're still linked with Conde, even though we know it's nonsense. Allegedly, Arsenal have made contact with Jules Conde, but the fullback has already made it clear he has no interest in leaving Barcelona this summer. Nonsense. Well, half of these rumors are nonsense, to be fair, but Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United are all considering ambitious bids for PSG forward Ousmane Dembele this summer. Yeah, right. For what it's worth, I would have him. It seems like he's been able to show his fitness. He clearly buys into what Luis Enrique is telling them with the pressing and all of that kind of stuff, which obviously intangibles at the Emirates. For what it's worth, if I humoured you lot, I would have him. But why? You've got a good thing going at PSG. You're one of the poster boys. They're in the semi-finals of the Champions League. Luis Enrique knows what he's doing. It's the most clear PSG project it's been since they've tried to do their own Galactico thing. It just doesn't make sense. And that's before we forget about any potential transfer fee and wages, people. I think the Kudus boat has gone. But allegedly, West Ham want to sell Mohamed Kudus this summer to fund their own transfer kitty. Arsenal, Chelsea, and Liverpool allegedly are all interested within the forward, people. And we have been linked with Liam Delap as a second-choice striker. Manchester United, who have been linked and apparently are the front runners to confirm the signature of Wolves' Cunha, have a plan to trigger the 30 million release clause in the Ipswich striker's contract. So there's a lot to monitor, people. Let me know your thoughts on that as well.